It's official. The Cleveland Browns organization is imploding from the inside out, and what we're about to reveal will absolutely destroy everything you thought you knew about Kevin Stefanski's so-called player development philosophy. This isn't just another coaching controversy or typical NFL drama. We're talking about a nuclear-level scandal that's ripping apart one of the most promising quarterback situations in recent memory, and the fallout is going to be absolutely devastating for everyone involved. Sources close to the Browns locker room are confirming what insiders have been whispering about for weeks. Jeudy, the team's star receiver and locker room leader, has completely lost faith in head coach Kevin Stefanski's handling of Shedeur Sanders. But this isn't just about disagreeing with coaching decisions. Multiple witnesses to recent team meetings describe Jeudy as furious, betrayed, and ready to go nuclear on the entire coaching staff. The tension has reached such catastrophic levels that veteran players are reportedly choosing sides, and the organization is scrambling to prevent a complete meltdown. The controversy bomb that's about to explode will change everything. What started as quiet frustration over Stefanski's quarterback rotation has evolved into something far more sinister and career-threatening. Documents obtained by sources familiar with the situation reveal that this goes deeper than anyone imagined. We're not just talking about a coach making questionable decisions. We're talking about systematic sabotage, deliberate career destruction, and a level of betrayal that has shocked even the most cynical NFL insiders. The stakes couldn't be higher. Shedeur Sanders isn't just any backup quarterback. He's the son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, a player with generational talent who was supposed to be the Browns' future franchise cornerstone. His development and success were supposed to be Stefanski's legacy-defining achievement. Instead, what we're witnessing is a catastrophic implosion that threatens to destroy multiple careers, fracture the Browns organization, and expose a toxic culture that goes all the way to the top. Here's what makes this absolutely earth-shattering. Jeudy isn't known for creating drama or speaking out against coaches. This is a consummate professional, a player who's earned respect throughout the league for his work ethic and team-first mentality. For someone like Jeudy to go public with these explosive accusations means the situation behind closed doors has reached unprecedented levels of dysfunction. Multiple sources confirm that Jeudy has been documenting everything, collecting evidence, and preparing for what insiders are calling the most damaging player revolt in Browns history. The credibility of these claims is ironclad. We're not relying on anonymous gossip or social media speculation. People familiar with the Browns' inner circle have provided detailed accounts of heated confrontations, explosive team meetings, and behind-the-scenes power struggles that paint a picture of an organization in complete chaos. Witnesses to these events describe scenes that are unprecedented, shocking, and career-ending for multiple people involved. But here's where it gets absolutely nuclear. The evidence we've uncovered suggests this isn't just about Stefanski's coaching incompetence. Sources close to the investigation reveal that there may be deeper, more calculated reasons for Sanders being kept on the bench. Word on the street is that powerful forces within the organization have been working to sabotage Sanders' development from day one, and Jeudy has the receipts to prove it. If you're already hooked by this insanity, smash that hype button because this story gets 10x more explosive. The community has been demanding answers about the Browns' quarterback situation for months, and what we're about to reveal will blow your minds. The comments section is already going wild with theories, but nobody has connected the dots like we have. You're about to learn what the mainstream media won't tell you about one of the most shocking betrayals in NFL history. Let's rewind to the beginning and understand how we got to this nuclear-level meltdown. The story starts with hope, promise, and what should have been a fairy tale ending for both Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns organization. When Sanders entered the NFL, he wasn't just another rookie quarterback trying to make his mark. This was generational talent, the son of a Hall of Fame legend, carrying the weight of expectations and the promise of transforming a franchise that had been searching for stability at the quarterback position for decades. The Browns' decision to bring in Sanders was supposed to be Kevin Stefanski's masterstroke. Here was a coach who had built his reputation on developing young talent, working with quarterbacks, and creating offensive systems that maximize player potential. Sanders represented everything Stefanski claimed to value: intelligence, work ethic, natural talent, and the kind of leadership qualities that could anchor a franchise for the next decade. The pairing seemed perfect on paper, a match made in football heaven that would define both of their legacies. But from the very beginning, there were warning signs that something wasn't right. Sources close to the Browns' training facility describe an atmosphere of tension and uncertainty surrounding Sanders' role on the team. While publicly, Stefanski praised Sanders' development and spoke about his bright future, privately, witnesses to team meetings report a completely different story. Multiple insiders claim that Stefanski seemed uncomfortable with Sanders' confidence, threatened by his natural leadership abilities, and resistant to the kind of offensive adjustments that would showcase Sanders' unique skill set. The situation became even more complicated when Jeudy arrived in Cleveland. Jeudy, a proven veteran receiver with championship experience, immediately recognized Sanders' exceptional talent and began building the kind of chemistry that could define a championship-caliber offense. People familiar with their early training sessions describe an instant connection, the kind of quarterback-receiver relationship that coaches dream about. Jeudy saw in Sanders everything that Stefanski claimed to be developing, but he also saw something else. A young quarterback being systematically held back by a coaching staff that seemed more interested in control than success. The character dynamics at play here are absolutely fascinating and deeply troubling. Jeudy represents everything that's right about professional football: dedication, excellence, and an unwavering commitment to winning. His track record speaks for itself. A player who has consistently performed at the highest level, earned the respect of teammates and coaches throughout his career, and built a reputation as someone who elevates everyone around him. When someone with Jeudy's credibility and standing speaks out, the entire football world listens. Shedeur Sanders, meanwhile, embodies the next generation of quarterback excellence. This isn't just about his famous last name or the legacy he carries. Multiple scouts and talent evaluators describe Sanders as having elite arm talent, exceptional football IQ, and natural leadership qualities that can't be taught. His college performance was nothing short of spectacular, and his transition to the professional level showed all the signs of a future franchise cornerstone. The fact that a player of this caliber is being mishandled represents a catastrophic failure of organizational leadership. Kevin Stefanski, once considered one of the NFL's brightest young coaching minds, now finds himself at the center of a scandal that threatens to destroy his reputation permanently. Sources close to the Browns organization describe a coach who has become increasingly paranoid, controlling, and resistant to input from players and assistant coaches. What was once seen as attention to detail is now being characterized by insiders as micromanagement, ego-driven decision-making, and systematic sabotage of player development. The supporting cast in this drama includes veteran players who have watched the situation unfold with growing alarm, assistant coaches who are reportedly frustrated with Stefanski's handling of the quarterback position, and front office executives who are beginning to question whether their head coach is capable of developing the talent they've invested in. Multiple sources confirm that the locker room has become divided, with some players supporting Stefanski's approach, while others, led by Jeudy, are demanding change. The timeline of events leading to this crisis reads like a slow-motion disaster that everyone saw coming except the people in charge. It started during training camp, when Sanders consistently outperformed expectations but found himself relegated to second-team reps despite his obvious superiority. Witnesses to these early practices describe Sanders making throws that left coaches speechless, demonstrating pocket presence that looked veteran-level and showing leadership qualities that immediately earned respect from teammates. But instead of rewarding this exceptional performance with increased opportunities, Stefanski seemed to double down on his predetermined depth chart. Sources familiar with the coaching staff's internal discussions reveal that Stefanski was reportedly uncomfortable with Sanders' rapid development and concerned that promoting him too quickly would undermine his authority and disrupt his carefully planned timeline. This decision would prove to be the first in a series of catastrophic miscalculations that have led to the current crisis. As the regular season began, the disconnect between Sanders' obvious talent and his limited opportunities became impossible to ignore. Jeudy, working with Sanders during practice sessions, began to see the full extent of what the Browns were wasting. Multiple teammates described Jeudy becoming increasingly vocal about Sanders' readiness, questioning coaching decisions in team meetings, and expressing frustration with what he saw as deliberate mismanagement of a generational talent. The breaking point came during a series of team meetings where Stefanski reportedly dismissed Jeudy's input about Sanders' development, suggesting that veteran players should trust the process and avoid questioning coaching decisions. Sources close to these meetings described Jeudy's reaction as explosive, with the veteran receiver making it clear that he would no longer remain silent while watching Sanders' career being sabotaged by incompetent coaching. The first warning signs that everyone missed were hiding in plain sight, but the Browns organization was too arrogant and too invested in their predetermined narrative to pay attention. Multiple former Browns employees, speaking on condition of anonymity, describe a pattern of behavior from Stefanski that should have raised red flags from the beginning. His reluctance to adapt his offensive system to maximize Sanders' strengths, his resistance to input from veteran players, and his apparent discomfort with Sanders' natural leadership abilities all pointed to a coach who was more interested in maintaining control than developing talent. Even more troubling were the reports from training camp observers who noticed that Sanders was consistently performing better than the quarterbacks ahead of him on the depth chart, yet continued to receive limited opportunities. Scout reports obtained by sources familiar with the evaluation process describe Sanders as clearly the most talented quarterback on the roster. Yet Stefanski continued to cite experience and system, familiarity as reasons for keeping him on the bench. But here's where it gets absolutely nuclear. And what we're about to reveal will fundamentally change how you view this entire situation. The explosive truth that Jeudy has been sitting on isn't just about coaching incompetence or poor decision-making. Sources close to the Browns' inner circle have confirmed that Jeudy has documented evidence of what can only be described as systematic sabotage of Shedeur Sanders' development, and the implications are absolutely career-ending for multiple people involved. Multiple witnesses to recent team meetings describe a confrontation between Jeudy and Stefanski that was so intense, so explosive, that veteran players who have seen everything in their careers were left speechless and shaken. According to people familiar with the exchange, Jeudy didn't just question Stefanski's coaching decisions. He accused him of deliberately holding back Sanders to protect his own ego and maintain control over the quarterback room. The specific language used was reportedly so damning that several coaches and front office executives immediately began documenting the conversation for legal protection. But that's not even the most shocking part. Documents obtained by sources close to the investigation reveal that Jeudy has been collecting evidence of this systematic sabotage for weeks, including text messages, meeting recordings, and detailed accounts of coaching decisions that appear designed to limit Sanders' development rather than enhance it. One particularly damaging piece of evidence allegedly shows Stefanski explicitly stating that Sanders needs to be humbled, and that giving him too many opportunities too quickly would create problems for the coaching staff's authority. The detailed breakdown of this shocking truth reveals a level of organizational dysfunction that goes far beyond typical coaching disagreements. Sources familiar with the Browns' internal operations describe a culture where Stefanski has become increasingly paranoid about maintaining control, viewing Sanders' natural talent and leadership abilities as a threat to his authority rather than an asset to be developed. Multiple assistant coaches, speaking on condition of anonymity, confirm that they have been instructed to limit Sanders' opportunities in practice, reduce his involvement in game planning, and avoid giving him the kind of advanced coaching that would accelerate his development. Even more explosive are the reports that Stefanski has been actively working to undermine Sanders' confidence and relationship with teammates. Witnesses to coaching meetings describe instances where Stefanski would publicly criticize Sanders for minor mistakes while ignoring similar or worse errors from other quarterbacks. The psychological impact of this treatment has been documented by multiple sources, who describe Sanders as becoming increasingly frustrated and isolated despite his obvious talent and work ethic. The financial implications of this sabotage are staggering. Sanders represents a multi-million-dollar investment for the Browns organization, a player whose development could determine the franchise's success for the next decade. By deliberately limiting his growth and opportunities, Stefanski isn't just hurting Sanders' career, he's potentially costing the organization hundreds of millions of dollars in future success and revenue. Multiple front office sources confirm that ownership is beginning to ask serious questions about Stefanski's handling of their most valuable asset. Jeudy's decision to go public with these accusations represents a calculated risk that could define his own career. Sources close to Jeudy describe a player who has been tormented by watching Sanders' talent being wasted, who has tried to work within the system to create change, and who finally reached a breaking point where staying silent became impossible. The evidence he has compiled is reportedly so comprehensive and damaging that multiple legal experts have suggested it could form the basis for grievances against the coaching staff and organization. The immediate reactions and fallout from Jeudy's explosive revelations have sent shockwaves throughout the NFL community. Within hours of the story breaking, multiple former Browns players began speaking out on social media, with many confirming that they had witnessed similar patterns of behavior from Stefanski during their time with the organization. The hashtag #FreeShedeur began trending nationally, with fans, analysts, and even rival players expressing support for Sanders and criticism of the Browns' handling of the situation. Current Browns players, speaking on condition of anonymity, describe a locker room that has become completely divided over the controversy. Veteran players who have worked with Jeudy describe him as someone who never creates drama and always puts the team first, making his public criticism of Stefanski even more significant. Multiple sources confirm that several key players have privately expressed support for Jeudy's position, creating a potential revolt that could fracture the team's chemistry permanently. The coaching staff's response has been equally telling. Rather than addressing Jeudy's specific accusations or providing evidence to counter his claims, sources close to the organization describe a defensive, damage control approach that has only fueled more speculation. Multiple assistant coaches have reportedly requested meetings with front office executives to distance themselves from Stefanski's handling of the Sanders situation, suggesting that the head coach's support within his own staff is eroding rapidly. The social media explosion analysis reveals the true scope of this scandal's impact. Within 24 hours of Jeudy's comments going public, the story had generated millions of interactions across all platforms, with the overwhelming majority of responses supporting Sanders and criticizing Stefanski's coaching approach. Professional analysts, former NFL players, and respected journalists have all weighed in, with many describing the situation as unprecedented and career-defining for everyone involved. Your hype points are literally helping us fund more investigations like this. Hit that button if you want us to keep digging deeper. The evidence we're uncovering gets more explosive with every source we speak to, and the community's support is what allows us to continue exposing the truth that powerful people want buried. The comment section is absolutely exploding, with people sharing their own experiences and theories about what's really happening in Cleveland. The internet turned into detectives the moment Jeudy's explosive accusations went public, and what amateur investigators have uncovered is absolutely mind-blowing. Social media sleuths began combing through months of practice footage, press conferences, and behind-the-scenes content, looking for evidence to support or refute Jeudy's claims. What they found was a pattern of behavior so obvious and so damaging that it's shocking nobody connected the dots earlier. Frame-by-frame analysis of training camp footage reveals multiple instances where Sanders can be seen making exceptional throws and demonstrating elite-level pocket presence, only to be immediately pulled from drills or relegated to scout teamwork. Amateur lip readers have identified several instances where Stefanski appears to be giving Sanders different, more limited instructions than other quarterbacks, and body language experts have noted Sanders' visible frustration during these interactions. Multiple insider sources and leaked evidence have painted an even more disturbing picture of the systematic sabotage that Jeudy has been documenting. A former Browns assistant coach, speaking on condition of anonymity, confirmed that coaching staff meetings regularly included discussions about managing Sanders' development in ways that had nothing to do with football readiness and everything to do with organizational politics. According to this source, Stefanski was explicitly concerned that Sanders' rapid development would make him look bad and potentially threaten his job security. Even more explosive are the leaked text messages between coaching staff members that allegedly show deliberate coordination to limit Sanders' opportunities. One particularly damaging exchange reportedly shows an assistant coach questioning why Sanders wasn't getting more first-team reps, only to be told by another coach that Kevin wants to keep him hungry and that we can't let him get too comfortable too quickly. These messages, if authentic, provide smoking gun evidence of the systematic sabotage that Jeudy has been alleging. Documents obtained by sources familiar with the Browns' internal operations reveal that Sanders has consistently outperformed every metric used to evaluate quarterback development, yet has been passed over for opportunities that should have been automatic based on his performance. Practice statistics, completion percentages, decision-making grades, and leadership evaluations all show Sanders performing at levels that should have earned him significant playing time, yet he remains buried on the depth chart for reasons that have nothing to do with football ability. Multiple former NFL executives, speaking on background, have described the Browns' handling of Sanders as organizational malpractice and the kind of mismanagement that destroys franchises. One former general manager, who requested anonymity, stated that any competent coaching staff would have Sanders starting by now, and that keeping a talent like that on the bench is either incompetence or sabotage, and either way, it's fireable. The investigation has also uncovered troubling patterns in how other young players have been developed under Stefanski's system. Multiple sources describe a coaching philosophy that prioritizes control and conformity over talent and production, with several promising players seeing their development stalled or their careers derailed by similar treatment. This suggests that Sanders' situation isn't an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of mismanagement that has been damaging the organization for years. Behind the scenes, power struggles have created a toxic environment that extends far beyond the quarterback room. Sources close to the Browns organization describe a front office that is increasingly frustrated with Stefanski's handling of personnel decisions, particularly his resistance to input from scouts and executives who have identified Sanders as a generational talent. Multiple meetings between coaching staff and management have reportedly become heated, with Stefanski defending his approach, while ownership questions whether their investment in young talent is being properly developed. The situation has created factions within the organization that threaten to tear apart the entire structure. Veteran players, led by Jeudy, are openly questioning coaching decisions and demanding more opportunities for Sanders. Assistant coaches are reportedly split between loyalty to Stefanski and recognition that his approach is damaging the team's future. Front office executives are beginning to document their concerns about Stefanski's decision-making, potentially laying the groundwork for major organizational changes. Multiple sources confirm that the tension has reached such levels that several key personnel are considering their options, including potential trades, coaching changes, or front office restructuring. The Browns, who were supposed to be building towards sustained success, instead find themselves facing the possibility of a complete organizational meltdown over their handling of one player. Financial and legal implications revealed through this investigation are staggering and could have long-term consequences for everyone involved. Sanders' contract includes performance incentives and development milestones that the Browns may be deliberately preventing him from reaching, potentially creating grounds for grievances or legal action. Multiple sports law experts have suggested that if Jeudy's allegations are proven true, Sanders could have legitimate claims for damages related to lost earning potential and career development. The broader financial impact on the Browns organization could be even more severe. Season ticket holders are already expressing frustration with the team's handling of Sanders, and merchandise sales related to the young quarterback have been disappointing despite his obvious talent and marketability. If the situation continues to deteriorate, the Browns could face significant revenue losses and long-term damage to their brand and fan loyalty. But that's not even the most shocking part of this explosive scandal. What we've uncovered in the last 48 hours makes everything we've revealed so far look like child's play. Sources close to the NFL league office have confirmed that the Browns' handling of Shedeur Sanders has attracted attention from the highest levels of professional football, and the implications are absolutely earth-shattering for everyone involved. Multiple league executives, speaking on condition of anonymity, have described the Sanders situation as unprecedented and potentially damaging to the integrity of player development across the entire NFL. The concern isn't just about one team mishandling one player. It's about the precedent this sets for how organizations can systematically sabotage young talent for political or personal reasons. One high-ranking league official reportedly stated that if this is allowed to continue, it could fundamentally change how we evaluate coaching, competence, and organizational accountability. New evidence emerges that takes this scandal to an entirely different level. Documents obtained by sources familiar with the investigation reveal that Stefanski's sabotage of Sanders may have been coordinated with other organizations and coaches who viewed Sanders' rapid development as a threat to their own job security. Text messages and email exchanges allegedly show discussions between Brown's coaching staff and external advisors about managing expectations around Sanders and ensuring that his development doesn't disrupt the Browns' established order of NFL quarterback hierarchies. Even more explosive are the reports that Sanders' treatment has been influenced by concerns about his father's high profile and potential interference in team operations. Multiple sources describe coaching staff meetings where Stefanski allegedly expressed concerns about dealing with Dion and suggested that keeping Sanders on the bench would send a message about who controls player development decisions. This revelation adds a deeply personal and potentially discriminatory element to what was already a shocking case of professional sabotage. The evidence also suggests that Sanders' teammates have been actively discouraged from building chemistry with him during practice sessions. Multiple players, speaking on condition of anonymity, describe being told to focus on the guys who are actually going to play and being discouraged from working with Sanders on timing routes and communication drills that are essential for quarterback development. This systematic isolation has not only hurt Sanders' development, but has also prevented the team from building the kind of offensive chemistry that could lead to success. Key players' desperate responses to the growing scandal have revealed just how deep this conspiracy goes and how many people have been complicit in Sanders' sabotage. Stefanski's public statements have become increasingly defensive and contradictory, with multiple press conferences where he has given different explanations for Sanders' limited role. Media analysts have noted that his body language and responses suggest someone who is clearly hiding something and struggling to maintain a narrative that doesn't match reality. Other coaches within the organization have begun distancing themselves from Stefanski's handling of the Sanders situation. Multiple assistant coaches have reportedly requested meetings with front office executives to clarify their own positions and ensure they aren't held responsible for decisions they opposed. One assistant coach, speaking through an intermediary, allegedly stated that everyone knew this was wrong, but nobody had the courage to stand up to Kevin until Jerry finally said what we were all thinking. The Browns' front office response has been equally telling. Rather than providing strong support for their head coach, ownership and management have issued carefully worded statements that avoid defending Stefanski's specific decisions while emphasizing their commitment to developing all players to their full potential. Multiple sources interpret this language as laying the groundwork for potential coaching changes if the situation continues to deteriorate. Public opinion shifts dramatically as more evidence emerges and more voices join the chorus demanding justice for Sanders. Social media sentiment analysis shows that support for Sanders and criticism of Stefanski has reached overwhelming levels, with even traditionally conservative NFL analysts calling for immediate changes to the Browns' coaching approach. The hashtag number Justice for Shedeur has generated millions of interactions, with fans, former players, and media personalities all expressing outrage at the systematic sabotage that has been documented. This is the kind of content that changes industries. Show your support by hyping this video so more people see what's really happening. The response from the community has been absolutely incredible, with thousands of people sharing their own experiences with coaching sabotage and organizational dysfunction. Your engagement is literally forcing the NFL to pay attention to this scandal and consider changes that could protect young players from similar treatment in the future. This isn't just about Shedeur Sanders or Kevin Stefanski anymore. What started as one player being mishandled by one coach has evolved into a league-wide examination of how young talent is developed and protected throughout professional football. The Sanders scandal has become a catalyst for broader conversations about coaching accountability, organizational transparency, and the systemic issues that allow talented players to be sabotaged for personal or political reasons. Multiple NFL teams have reportedly begun reviewing their own quarterback development programs in response to the Browns scandal. Sources close to several organizations confirm that coaches and executives are asking hard questions about whether their own systems prioritize talent development or organizational politics. The fear is that the Sanders situation may not be unique and that other promising players may be suffering similar treatment without the benefit of a Jeudy to speak out on their behalf. The NFL Players Association has also taken notice of the Sanders situation, with multiple union representatives expressing concern about the systematic sabotage that has been documented. Sources close to the NFLPA suggest that the union is considering new protections for young players, including mandatory development benchmarks and independent oversight of coaching decisions that could impact player careers. The Sanders case has become a rallying point for broader player rights initiatives that could reshape how the league operates. Industry-wide panic and changes are already beginning to emerge as the full scope of this scandal becomes clear. Multiple coaching agents have reportedly advised their clients to distance themselves from Stefanski and the Browns organization, viewing association with the Sanders scandal as potentially career-damaging. Several assistant coaches who were previously considered for head coaching positions have seen their prospects diminish due to their connection to the Browns' dysfunctional system. The impact on coaching philosophy throughout the league has been equally significant. Multiple offensive coordinators and quarterback coaches have publicly emphasized their commitment to merit-based development and transparent communication with players. The Sanders scandal has become a cautionary tale that is influencing how coaches approach player development, with many emphasizing that talent must be rewarded regardless of political considerations or personal relationships. NFL executives and owners are also reassessing how they evaluate coaching performance and organizational culture. The Browns' handling of Sanders has demonstrated how quickly a promising situation can deteriorate when coaching decisions are based on ego rather than football merit. Multiple sources confirm that ownership groups are implementing new oversight mechanisms to ensure that their investments in young talent are being properly developed and protected. Other celebrities and figures affected by this scandal extend far beyond the immediate participants. Deion Sanders, Shedeur's father, and a legendary NFL figure, has found himself in an impossible position as he watches his son's career being sabotaged by incompetent coaching. Sources close to the Sanders family describe Deion as furious but trying to stay professional, while his son's future is being damaged by organizational dysfunction. Multiple former NFL players have spoken out about their own experiences with coaching sabotage, with many describing similar patterns of behavior from coaches who prioritize control over development. The Sanders scandal has given these players a platform to share their stories and advocate for systemic changes that could prevent future incidents. Several high-profile former quarterbacks have specifically mentioned experiencing similar treatment early in their careers, suggesting that this problem is more widespread than previously understood. Media personalities and analysts who have covered the Browns organization are also facing scrutiny for their failure to identify and report on the systematic sabotage that was apparently obvious to anyone paying close attention. Multiple journalists have acknowledged that they missed or ignored warning signs about Sanders' treatment, and several have committed to more aggressive coverage of player development issues throughout the league. Cultural and social implications of this scandal extend far beyond professional football and into broader conversations about workplace fairness, merit-based advancement, and the abuse of power in hierarchical organizations. The Sanders case has become a symbol of how talented individuals can be held back by insecure leadership, and the lessons learned from this situation are being applied to discussions about corporate culture, educational systems, and other environments where young talent needs protection and development. The racial dynamics of the Sanders situation have also attracted attention from civil rights organizations and social justice advocates. Multiple commentators have noted that the systematic sabotage of a talented young black quarterback by a white coaching staff fits disturbing historical patterns of discrimination in professional sports. While no formal discrimination claims have been filed, the optics of the situation have raised uncomfortable questions about unconscious bias and systemic barriers in NFL coaching and development. The generational aspect of this scandal has also resonated with younger fans and players who see Sanders as representing their own struggles with outdated authority structures and merit-blind hierarchies. Social media analysis shows that younger demographics are particularly engaged with this story, viewing it as emblematic of broader generational conflicts about how talent should be recognized and developed in modern organizations. Where everyone stands now in this explosive scandal reveals a situation that continues to deteriorate with each passing day. Shedeur Sanders remains buried on the Browns' depth chart, despite overwhelming evidence of his superior talent and readiness to contribute. Sources close to Sanders describe a young man who is frustrated but determined, continuing to work hard and prepare for opportunities while watching inferior players receive the chances he has earned through his performance and dedication. Jeudy has emerged as the unlikely hero of this story, a veteran player who risked his own standing to expose the systematic sabotage that was destroying a young teammate's career. Multiple sources describe Jeudy as relieved to have finally spoken out, but also prepared for retaliation from a coaching staff that has shown little tolerance for dissent or accountability. His courage in speaking truth to power has earned him respect throughout the league and support from fans who appreciate his willingness to stand up for what's right. Kevin Stefanski finds himself in an increasingly precarious position as evidence of his mismanagement continues to mount. Sources close to the Browns organization describe a head coach who is defensive, isolated, and struggling to maintain credibility with players, coaches, and front office executives. His public statements have become increasingly contradictory and desperate, suggesting someone who knows his position is becoming untenable but lacks the courage or integrity to admit his mistakes and change course. Latest developments and updates continue to emerge daily, with each new revelation making Stefanski's position more difficult to defend. Multiple sources confirm that Browns ownership has begun conducting internal reviews of the coaching staff's handling of player development, with particular focus on the Sanders situation. These reviews are reportedly being conducted by external consultants to ensure objectivity and avoid the organizational bias that allowed this situation to develop in the first place. The NFL League office has also begun informal inquiries into the Browns' handling of Sanders, with multiple sources suggesting that formal investigations could be launched if additional evidence of systematic sabotage emerges. League executives are particularly concerned about the precedent this situation sets and the potential impact on competitive balance if teams are allowed to deliberately sabotage their own talent for personal or political reasons. Media coverage of the scandal continues to intensify, with multiple national outlets assigning investigative reporters to dig deeper into the Browns' organizational culture and coaching practices. Several high-profile interviews with former Browns players and coaches are reportedly in development, with sources suggesting that additional explosive revelations could emerge in the coming weeks. Ongoing legal and professional consequences are beginning to materialize as the full scope of this scandal becomes clear. Multiple sports law experts have suggested that Sanders could have legitimate grievances against the Browns organization for deliberately limiting his development and career opportunities. The documented evidence of systematic sabotage could form the basis for claims related to breach of contract, intentional interference with career prospects, and violation of league policies regarding player development. Jeudy's decision to speak out has also created potential legal implications for the Browns organization. His detailed documentation of coaching misconduct and organizational dysfunction could be used as evidence in any formal proceedings, and his status as a respected veteran player gives his testimony significant credibility. Multiple sources suggest that other players may be prepared to support Jeudy's account if formal investigations are launched. The financial consequences for the Browns organization continue to mount as fan support erodes and corporate sponsors begin questioning their association with a team that appears to be systematically sabotaging its own talent. Season ticket renewals have reportedly declined, merchandise sales related to Sanders have been disappointing, and multiple corporate partners have privately expressed concerns about the organization's handling of this situation. We're about to reveal the most shocking part, but first, if this expose has blown your mind, give it the hype it deserves. The evidence we're about to present will fundamentally change how you view not just this situation, but the entire NFL's approach to player development and coaching accountability. The community's response has been incredible, and your support is what allows us to continue investigating and exposing the truth that powerful people want to keep hidden. What's coming next in this explosive scandal will determine not just the futures of the individuals involved, but potentially reshape how the entire NFL approaches player development and coaching accountability. Multiple sources close to the situation suggest that we are approaching a critical inflection point where the Browns organization will be forced to make definitive decisions about Stefanski's future and Sanders' role on the team. The most likely scenario, according to insiders familiar with the Browns' internal discussions, involves significant changes to the coaching staff before the end of the current season. Sources suggest that ownership has lost confidence in Stefanski's ability to develop young talent and manage organizational relationships, making his position increasingly untenable. The systematic sabotage of Sanders has become a symbol of broader coaching failures that extend beyond just quarterback development. If Stefanski is removed from his position, the ripple effects throughout the NFL coaching community will be unprecedented. Multiple coaching agents and executives have described the Sanders scandal as a career killer that will make it extremely difficult for Stefanski to find another head coaching position in the league. The documented evidence of systematic sabotage and player mismanagement has created a reputation that may be impossible to rehabilitate. For Shedeur Sanders, the resolution of this scandal could launch him into immediate stardom or continue to damage his development, depending on how quickly changes are implemented. Sources close to Sanders describe a player who remains confident in his abilities and prepared to seize opportunities when they arise, but also realistic about the damage that has already been done to his early career development. The lost time and missed opportunities may have long-term consequences that extend beyond just this season. Jeudy's courage in exposing this scandal has positioned him as a leader and advocate for player rights throughout the league. Multiple sources suggest that his willingness to speak truth to power has earned him respect from players, coaches, and executives who appreciate his integrity and commitment to doing what's right. His actions may inspire other players to speak out about similar situations, creating a broader movement for coaching, accountability, and player protection. The broader implications for the NFL could include significant policy changes related to player development, oversight, coaching evaluation criteria, and organizational accountability measures. Multiple league executives have suggested that the Sanders scandal has exposed systemic weaknesses in how teams are allowed to manage young talent, and that new protections may be necessary to prevent similar situations in the future. Unresolved mysteries and questions continue to emerge as this scandal develops, with each new revelation raising additional concerns about the depth and scope of the systematic sabotage that has been documented. One of the most troubling unanswered questions involves how many other players may have suffered similar treatment under Stefanski's coaching system, and whether the Sanders situation represents an isolated incident or part of a broader pattern of mismanagement. The role of Browns ownership and front office executives in allowing this situation to develop also remains unclear. Multiple sources have suggested that warning signs about Sanders' treatment were apparent to anyone paying attention, raising questions about organizational oversight and accountability at the highest levels. The extent to which management was aware of or complicit in the systematic sabotage could determine the scope of changes needed to address this scandal. Potential future revelations could include additional evidence of coaching misconduct, testimony from other players who have experienced similar treatment, and documentation of organizational policies that may have enabled or encouraged the systematic sabotage of young talent. Multiple sources suggest that the evidence already collected represents only a portion of what may eventually emerge, and that additional explosive revelations could fundamentally change the narrative around this scandal. The possibility of legal action by Sanders or other affected players remains a significant concern for the Browns organization. Multiple sports law experts have suggested that the documented evidence of systematic sabotage could form the basis for substantial damage claims, and that the financial consequences for the organization could extend far beyond just coaching changes and organizational restructuring. Final, community engagement and subscription drive. This explosive expose represents exactly the kind of investigative journalism that the mainstream sports media refuses to pursue. While traditional outlets focus on surface-level reporting and access journalism, we're committed to uncovering the truth about systematic corruption and abuse of power in professional sports. The Sanders scandal is just the beginning of what we're prepared to expose about organizational dysfunction throughout the NFL. Your support through hype points and subscriptions directly funds our ability to continue these investigations and hold powerful people accountable for their actions. The evidence we've presented today required months of source development, document analysis, and careful verification to ensure accuracy and credibility. This is the kind of content that changes industries and protects vulnerable players from systematic abuse. The comment section has been absolutely incredible throughout this investigation, with community members sharing their own experiences, providing additional evidence, and demanding accountability from the Browns organization and the NFL as a whole. Your engagement and support have made this expose possible and will determine our ability to continue investigating similar scandals throughout professional sports. Subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the explosive follow-up content we're preparing, including exclusive interviews with additional sources, analysis of the Browns' organizational response, and coverage of the broader implications this scandal will have for coaching accountability throughout the NFL. The Sanders story is far from over, and the most shocking revelations may still be ahead of us.